PSG defeat Arsenal on penalties in the Champions League final. There's no feeling like this, man. It's indescribable. The heartbreak to get to a Champions League final, go through 120 plus minutes of football, take it all the way to penalties, and lose like that. It's just absolutely gut-wrenching. I obviously wasn't alive in 06, but I've heard people talk about the feeling that they had after 06 to be 1-0 up that late in the game. And we had something similar. You know, they obviously equalised earlier than Barcelona did in 06. But it was a similar feeling, you know, the hope. That first goal, the hope it gives you. And we weren't able to get it done. And look, I'll get into the game. But I just quickly want to say, I'm proud of this team. I'm proud of this team, what they've been able to achieve. For their performance yesterday as well. It was today for me because it was early in the morning and then now it's, you know, the evening. So I've gone through the whole day sort of sleeping but also reflecting and, you know, just thinking about what I watched. Haven't seen any of the highlights back or anything. Just haven't. I don't know if I ever will. Maybe if we win it one day, but yeah, man. It's tough. It's a really, really tough pill to swallow. But let's get into it. Obviously, we had that incredible start to the game where I think we played a ball over the top. I think it deflected off a couple players. I think it was more Marquinhos that misjudged it. Ball falls to Kai Havertz. He's onside. He takes quite a big run. Like, I think it was around the halfway line. Like, he runs across pretty much half the pitch. I thought he was going to fuck it up because he was getting very, very close to the keeper and he was on a tight angle. But credit to Havertz, the finish was phenomenal. Like, it was an excellent finish. Just smashes it up into the roof of the net. Safanov probably should have done better. Like, he probably should have come out, kept it out. But again, Safanov, he's not a top level goalkeeper. It's not Donnarumma that we're up against. But yeah, I mean, credit to Kai Havertz, his second ever goal in a Champions League final. So he's got as many as Messi, which is pretty remarkable. Obviously, wasn't able to get the same result that he did 5 years ago, but credit to him for getting that goal. And then from that point on, and this was for pretty much the entire, like, this was basically for the whole game. I think everyone knew what was going to happen after we went 1-0 up. Like, I think we all knew that Arsenal were going to sit back and allow PSG to get the ball, and we did that a lot in the first half. But I'll be honest, I think we were definitely the better side in the first half. Like, obviously we were up 1-0, but I genuinely think, like, we intentionally sat off, let PSG have all this possession, sat in our block, and they really had nothing. Like, genuinely, they had one shot on target, which was this effort from Ruiz, from the edge of the box on a tight angle that Raya was able to grab. I think this is the one that he actually, like, dropped and then had to jump over the ball. But the rest of it, I mean, there was this effort here, again from Ruiz, header. I think it was like a rebound, half chance. And then there were just pings from, like, the middle of nowhere. PSG really weren't able to offer anything in that first half. They didn't even have they had that shot on target I just said, obviously. But if we look at this lineup, I think in the first half especially, Ruiz struggled. Like, he really wasn't, like, he was losing the ball cheaply. Off the ball, he wasn't great. You know, he was letting people get past him. obviously Vitinha took a lot of touches, but overall wasn't really able to influence the game. I thought defensively as well that the first half was probably when PSG struggled. I thought Marquinhos definitely should have done better for that first goal. Pacho, you could maybe put in that as well. And yeah, overall, I felt quite comfortable in the first half. Like, I get nervy all the time no matter what's going on. But if I was to take the Arsenal stress out of it, I was never really threatened by what PSG did in that first half. I didn't think they ever looked like they were gonna score. Now the second half it was just more of the same. We had even less time on the ball, though we had more possession barely. But we conceded a lot more shots and we conceded better efforts. Like, was it this one? Like, this was a half chance from Dembele. There was this header from Pacho. Like, you could tell that they were moving the ball with a bit more intent. You know, in the first half, very passive passing from Vitinha, from Ruiz. Like, they weren't really... It was like they were just trying to pass around our block and hope for the best. But in the second half, what is this, bro? Fuck off. But in the second half, you could tell that they were moving the ball with a bit more intent. You know, if they were ever gonna score, it was gonna be in that second half. I'm talking in regular time. I think that Vitinha's performance was a bit better. You know, he had a bit more finesse with his passing, getting a bit more involved. I thought Neves was like sensational in this game. Neves was arguably man of the match. If you're gonna give it to a winner, usually you're gonna give the man of the match in a Champions League final to a guy on the winning team, right? If you're gonna give it to a PSG player, I think it should have been Neves. I thought Neves was fucking unreal, bro. Like, he was sensational. He put in an epic performance. That's what I wanted to say. But I do have to talk about that PSG front three, because they all this talk about this world-class attack, and I still think PSG are a world-class attacking side. Dembele is one of the best players in the world, same with Kvaratskhelia. I rate Doué as like a top-class winger, but none of them had particularly great games. I'll talk about the penalty in a sec. I think that massively boosts this rating here, because I'd say Dembele was probably the worst out of that front three, but he obviously took the penalty. It was a great penalty. Good on him. I think out of everyone in a more attacking sense, like this four is usually the four that influence the final third. Vitinha won man of the match. I don't know how. I genuinely, I feel gaslit by this Vitinha guy. Even in general, I think he's a tad bit overrated. I don't think he's quite as good as everyone says. But especially in this game, like, he had little to no influence at all. Like, he really didn't do much in this game. I'd probably say out of those four, Dembele probably was the worst in terms of, like, influence in the final third. Kvaratskhelia in the first half did nothing. In the second half, he had one moment, which was when he won the penalty, but overall didn't really do much. It seemed like he just didn't want to take Mosquera on the outside, and then whenever he'd come inward, Saliba did such a good job at covering those angles. Like, he really wasn't able to influence the game much. I think Doué's the only one I look at where he was actively getting on the ball, moving central, was playing passes through the lines, he was getting in the pockets, like, he was actually getting involved. He didn't have that polish necessarily. Like, if we go here, if we look at his stats, obviously he had a big chance created. I don't even remember what would the big chance have been? How many big chances did they have in the game? They had 3. What would they be? I guess maybe they were more in extra time. So yeah, I think Doué was definitely the best out of those 4 in terms of final third impact. But overall, they left a lot to be desired. And look, I do think that is a lot down to the way that we set up. And I'll talk about Arteta. I'll talk about Arteta's performance in a bit. But I think that defensively, we put up genuinely like one of the best defensive displays I've ever seen. Coming up against a team with this much attacking power, this much quality. The fact that we were able to limit them in this game. Like, the stats because of the amount of the ball they had and the amount of shots they had, I think the stats tell a different story. Like, obviously they were threatening more because we were sitting off the ball. We were leading for an hour, right? But overall, they didn't really threaten much. Like even if you look at extra time, I'll break it down a bit more. There was only the one shot in the first period of extra time. Like, genuinely nothing happened in that first period. And in the second period, the only times they actually, like, threaten were those moments on the counter-attack. Where was the Bradley Barcola one? Why is that not there? Yeah, Bradley Barcola had a couple moments in extra time as well off the bench where he missed 2 1-on-1s. Or was that... Bro, what? Did they just not count as shots? I swear he had, like, 2 1-on-1s. I don't know. But yeah, I think Arteta, he coached a very, very good game. He did. Like, he limited PSG to relatively nothing in attack. He set us up in an excellent defensive shape, and I'll get to the individual performances later. I'll talk about that when I do the player ratings. I'll stick to PSG. What other players haven't I really talked about? I thought Mendes had an interesting game. You know, I think a lot of people expected he was going to win the battle with Saka, and he did. I'll talk about Saka in the player ratings. But when Madueke came on, I think that's when he started to get caught out a bit. And that's where I do have to get to all the decisions. And I'll talk about the penalty there as well. I'll do all that. I thought PSG's centre-backs were good. Like, they didn't have a whole lot to do. Obviously, they could have done better for that goal. On the ball, they didn't really do much. Like, they weren't really able to assist in carving open our block. And then Hakimi, I probably thought was the best out of that back four. You know, he was overloading our left hand side quite a lot. We did deal with it relatively well. Like, Nkapie did a good job on him. Yeah, the only thing with Mendes is he did well on the Saka battle, but I think I could tell how fatigued he was getting. But credit to him because he battled, like, he would not stop fighting. And then when Madueke with fresh legs is coming on and you've played that much game time, like, you're gonna struggle. And I guess I can talk more about the subs when I get to Arteta. I don't really think any of the subs had much influence. I think the defense looked a lot better when Timber came on. It was good that he came on when he did. I'll talk about the subs after the player ratings, actually. Now let's get to the officiating. Now, there were a lot of contentious, like, big decisions in this game. There were obviously 2 handball shouts in the first 5 minutes. There was the Saka one in the box. I think if you give a penalty for that, it's incredibly harsh. Like, he's gone to clear the ball, he's miscued it, he's got his hands up against his body, and it's bounced up and smashed into his hand. That's literally up against, like, was it like his neck? Something like that. I don't think the infringement is worthy enough for a penalty, and I think that's why VAR ultimately didn't give it. You don't want a Champions League final being decided off something like that, right? You don't want it happening. Like, it didn't deny PSG anything. And then the Trossard one in the build up to the goal, it just wasn't a handball. Like, he literally had his hand up against his, was it like there or something? I can't remember where exactly his hand was, but it was literally, like, right up against his body. So that's never going to be given as a handball. And then there was obviously their penalty. Their penalty, it was so unfortunate, man, because that was literally, like, the only way they ever looked like they were going to score. And I feel for Mosquera because he was having a very good game up until that point. Obviously, it's a clear penalty. Like, Kvaratskhelia gets around him. Mosquera brings him down, gives away the penalty, and, you know, that's 1-1. And then there was the other penalty shout, which I think was in extra time. Was it the first or the second period of extra time? I can't remember exactly when it was, but it was definitely in extra time. When Madueke gets around Mendes, who, as I said, at moments, especially against Madueke, struggled. And then they're sort of going shoulder to shoulder. Madueke gets his body in front. Mendes brings him down. And it's one of those ones where if the referee gives it, I don't think VAR can overturn it. I don't see how that would be a clear and obvious error to be overturned and decided that it's not a penalty. However, I feel the same the other way. I think that the contact is initiated by Madueke. I actually think it's quite foolish from him because he was grabbing Mendes, I think around the arm or something, and he was like pulling him back so he can go forward. I don't think he had to do that. I think he had enough pace and he had the angle where he could have gotten past him with no contact at all. And if he wasn't initiating any contact and he was brought down, it would have been given. Like the referee would have given that, or VAR definitely would have overturned it because he would have been brought down in the box and it wouldn't have been initiated by him. So I completely understand. I completely understand why it wasn't given as a penalty. If that was given against us, I would be pretty upset. But on another day, it is given. Like, I've seen those penalties given before. It is what it is. One of those 50-50s where, there was clear contact, but when it's initiated by the attacker, who can you really blame? That's all I really have for this game. It wasn't like a scintillating game of football. It wasn't like the final last year where we were just watching PSG's attacking talent on display. But it was a chess match, basically. It was the best attack up against the best defense, and for large parts of that game we won. But the thing is, PSG, they always say when the best attack's up against the best defense, the attack is usually the one that comes out, and they got their goal. Obviously, it came from that penalty, but they did their job, and congratulations to PSG, because I guess I should do the player ratings first. I'll do the player ratings and then I'll get into the whole, what this means for the future. I've talked about the game. I should stick to what actually happened in this game, I guess. But yeah, congrats to PSG. I would definitely say they deserved to win. They didn't offer much in attack, but neither did we. We sat back pretty much the whole time. And they were the ones that were actually playing off the front foot. And in those situations, if you get it done, you're the deserving winners. You get it done. They've been the best team in Europe all season. I've been saying this all year. I predicted them to win the Champions League back in November. I predicted them to retain it, and they did. So congrats to PSG. But let's get into the player ratings. We'll start with Raya. And obviously we had the 6 subs, so there are more players than normal. I'm going to give Raya an 8. He wasn't forced into many big saves. How many shots on target did PSG have in the end? I know I just checked before. They had 4 shots on target. There was this effort from Hakimi where he just caught. There was... oh, wait, no, that's a pen. There was obviously, that one that I talked about before. And then there was this. To be fair, that was a good... I actually remember that one. That was a decent save. So yeah, not a whole lot. And then obviously the pen. The only thing I will say... Oh, shit. So he wasn't threatened much, and that's why you can't really give him, a 10 or a 9. But he was claiming crosses, he was doing his job. The only thing I will say, though, is there were a couple penalties in the shootout where I thought he dived early. And I've said this for Raya before, and I think it's just because of his size. He needs to give himself a proper propelling jump because he's a shorter goalkeeper, so he can get to the corner. And I think it disadvantages him. He's still relatively good on pens. I've seen him, he obviously had a couple saves in the Porto shootout a couple of years ago. He saved a few penalties as well. I think there was one against West Ham. There was PSG in the semi-final last year. So look, he is still decent from penalties. Saved the Nuno Mendes one, but that wasn't a great pen from Nuno Mendes. He just anticipated it great. So yeah, I'll give Raya an 8. Mosquera, I actually kind of feel quite harsh doing this, but I'll give him a 6. The other thing I didn't talk about when I was talking about the decisions is that he could have been given a second yellow for the pen. But personally, I don't think he should have been booked in the first place. He took about 10 seconds on a throw in, not even, and the guy was booking him in the first 20 minutes. You're taking the piss. I genuinely... I forgot to talk about this before when I was talking about the official. I thought the referee was terrible. It wasn't even, he was giving things in PSG's favour. As I said, he did well on on the big decisions, but the referee overall was absolutely appalling. Like, he got so many of the 50-50s wrong. The cards were weird. Like, Fabian kicked the ball away. He didn't get booked for it. I think Neves should have been booked. It might have been Neves, I can't remember. Harsh to book Mosquera. Saka got a harsh booking as well. Rice got booked for nothing. Like, I thought the referee was terrible. Genuinely, I thought he was awful. But look, I do feel quite harsh giving Mosquera a 6 because I thought he had a difficult task at hand and he did such a good job for most of that game. But at the end of the day, if he doesn't give away that penalty, I genuinely think we probably go on to win the game. I do. I honestly believe that. I don't think PSG would have gotten through. I'll be real. So look, 6 might be a bit harsh, but yeah, for a young kid playing out of position against the best left winger in the world this season, he did decent, but ultimately it was that decision. I think Arteta made the right decision to hook him when he did. He definitely made the right decision. Saliba, I'll give Saliba a 7. I don't think it was his best game, but he was just like, he just dealt with everything. Like, he was never really caught out at any point. He just wasn't that involved. Like, we didn't get much time on the ball, so he wasn't really able to do what he's so good at and playing out from the back and connecting the build-up phase into the progression phase. But yeah, he still did good. Like, he didn't really do much wrong. Gabriel, like, I feel for Gabriel, man. I feel so sorry for Gabriel missing that penalty. Yeah, I do. And I'll talk about this when I get to the subs. I'll talk about the pens more. But yeah, I'm going to give Gabriel an 8. I genuinely thought he was the best player on the pitch. I'll be real. Like, during regular play, I think Gabriel was the best player on the pitch. Obviously, you shouldn't win man of the match when you lose and then you miss a pen. But genuinely, I thought he was monstrous, especially in that first half. That tackle that he made. I think it was like 20 minutes in or something. Genuinely ridiculous. I love this guy, man. I love him. I'm so happy he finally got over the line in the Premier League. But yeah, I feel for him. And he's going to get trolled a lot because everyone hates him. You know, because they cried, oh, he fouls the keeper and he talks a lot. Cry, man. He's a top player. Nketiah, I'll give Nketiah an 8 as well. I thought Nketiah was really, really good, especially defensively. Limited Doué to... He didn't really let Doué... Like Doué was having an influence, but it was more on the edge of the box. So I'm not expecting Nketiah to be tracking him all around the pitch. So I think in those wide areas, 1v1, he did an excellent job on Doué. So yeah, I'll give him an 8. Declan Rice, I'll give you... Oh, do I give him an 8? Yeah, I'll give him an 8. I thought Rice was excellent. Honestly, I did. This is a game that massively suits Rice, where because he struggles a bit in possession, one of these games where he can play as a lone 6 when we've got a lot of defending to do, he just sweeps things up, man. I love him in this lone... I love the midfield dynamic that we have with Rice and Skelly because it allows Declan Rice to play to his strengths. It allows him to just sweep loose balls up. It allows him to sit deeper where he's better, where the onus isn't on him to bring the team forward because you've got other players that can do that. I think when he plays with Zubimendi struggles in similar areas to him. And when he's playing in that 8, you're expecting him to make... And I think he's a good ball carrier, but in a game where you need to attack, having Rice as that 8 without a 6 that can properly split the lines, it's difficult for him. But I think this is a massive performance from Rice. I feel so sorry for him that he wasn't able to get a winner's medal, but yeah, what a player, man. What a footballer, and keep disrespecting him because he will keep delivering for Arsenal. And I know that we didn't win this game today, but he will. I trust Declan Rice, man. Lewis Skelly, I'll give a 7. I thought he had a pretty solid performance. I remember there was one point where he lost the ball. I can't remember who took it off him. I think... Was it Kvara? I think Kvara might have pressed him and won the ball, but then he tracked back, he recovered, he managed to win it off him again. And yeah, for a 19... Is he still 19? Is Lewis Skelly still 19 or is he 20? He's still 19. For a 19-year-old to start a Champions League final and put in a solid effort like that, I'm so proud of him, and I'm so glad that he started this game. These next two are gonna hurt, man. These next two are gonna hurt. Martin Odegaard. We have to talk, man. Like, we genuinely have to talk, because I didn't want him to start this game. I chose Eze as my 10 in this game, and it proved dividends, because whilst Eze didn't have the greatest cameo, he was still more influential than Odegaard. I mean, what is that? 6 accurate passes. I understand that you're not an out-and-out 10. You're not Eze. You're not the guy that's supposed to be connecting in the final third. That's not really his game. In this game, he had to do it more, because when you're starting as the most creative midfielder, that is on you. But bro, like, that is genuinely shocking. I was appalled with Odegaard's performance. I thought he was probably the worst player on the pitch. And the fact that we've gotten to a point where our club captain is getting hooked in the 67th minute of a game, of a Champions League final, and no one batters an eye. Like, I think everyone knew he was going to come off. I don't know, man. Look, I don't like talking about the captaincy, because at the end of the day, the whole point of a captain is to be a leader among the players, and the players clearly back him. But as a captain, you need to be influencing the game. Well, I'm gonna give him a 3, like, and that's just because I think below a 3 has to be like you were genuinely playing against the team. I just didn't notice him. He had 0 impact on the game, so I'm gonna give him a 3. He was abysmal, like, genuinely horrid. Honestly, like, I don't want to sell him. There's a lot of people that want to sell Odegaard, but his position in this team needs to change. We need to bring in attacking impetus, and he can't be as relied upon as he has been. The only reason he hasn't been relied on more this season is because he's had injuries. And look, last season, he was bad. I used last season as a grace period because he had that massive injury. The team wasn't very good. But this season, man, you needed to do more. And he's had good cameos off the bench. West Ham, he was unreal. Like, he's had good performance off the bench. I think he needs to be an impact sub. I think he needs to be someone that you bring on to control a game and to hopefully have one moment where he can do something. But poor, honestly, it sickens me, because Odegaard, back in the sort of 2022 to 2024, those 2 seasons, the one season where he was playing as that 10 who was scoring 15 goals, and then the season after that, which I think is his best season, when he was a genuine world-class number 8, when he was just completely dictating games. He's nowhere near that player, and he hasn't been for a while. Fix up, man. Honestly, you need to fix up. And then Bukayo Saka, I'm going to give him a 4. The only reason he gets a 4 and he doesn't get a 3 like Odegaard is because I think the role he had in this team massively hindered him. We were basically asking him to play as a wing-back because Mosquera and Kvara was supposed to be such a big mismatch. Saka had to track back constantly, and I'll give him a bit of credit because you can't fault the effort that he puts in. But he completed 4 passes in this game. He had 1 cross in the first 2 minutes and genuinely had 0 impact on the final third at all. And just like Odegaard, I love Saka. I've defended this guy for so long. I have him on the back of this shirt. I have him on the back of my fucking shirt because I love this guy. But bro, I've watched him play in 3 finals, the Euros final in 2024, the Carabao Cup final this year and now this game, I'm not going to count the game where he came on as a substitute as a 19-year-old and missed a penalty. I'm talking about games that he genuinely like started and was one of the main men in his team, and he's failed to deliver all 3 times. And I'm not just talking about the result, the performance. I need to see more, bro. Like, I genuinely need to see more. You're supposed to be the franchise guy, as they say. You're supposed to be the guy. And he didn't do it. He didn't do it. I thought Trossard and Havertz had more influence on the game than him. I thought all the PSG attackers, as much as I slated them, that was only because of the standard I hold them to. I thought they all had a bigger impact than Saka in this game. I do. I honestly do. But yeah, man. It saddens me to go off at him like that, but I have to. Havertz was a weird one. Because I can't tell if he played well or not. Obviously, he took his goal well. Similar to Saka, he had a very difficult task at hand. Like, we were going long to him so many times, he had to hold it up. So because of that, along with his goal, I'm going to give him a 7. It might be a bit too generous, because he didn't miss any clear-cut chances in this game. Every big game, he misses a chance. This one, he took it. And whilst he struggled at times, it was just always going to be a difficult matchup for him. So I thought Havertz actually played quite well. I'll give him a 7. I still wouldn't mind if he was sold this summer. He definitely won't be. But yeah, I'm going to give him a 7. Trossard, I'll give you a 6. Had a few decent moments, but overall, just you weren't really able to impact the game much at all. There isn't really anything else to say. And then I'll be quite quick for the subs. Timber, I'll give an 8. I thought Timber was excellent when he came on. I thought he was phenomenal. He was definitely the best out of all the subs. I'll skip you. I'll come back to you. Zubimendi, he hardly played, so I guess like 6. Although he should have stepped up to take a pen. I'll just say that. Eze, I'll give you a 6 as well. Just struggled at times. You know, there were a couple loose touches here and there, but you could tell he was trying to make things happen. He threaded a ball through to Martinelli, who completely mistimed it. Martinelli can get a 4 as well. He was just as bad as Saka, if not worse. He was definitely our yeah, oh, shit. I did not mean to do that. What? Oh, yeah, you can get a 4. Yok, 4 as well. Like, just not good. I've said it before, Gyökeres off the bench is like, he's one of the worst impact subs ever. Unless you're leading a game, I don't see what unless you're leading a game, he comes on and scores. Like, if you're chasing a game and you bring on Victor Gyökeres, he genuinely has 0 influence. Like, he needs to start games to get in the groove of things. Yeah, very, very, very poor. And you, my friend. Mr. Don't Let Me Line You Up, G. He came on and he had a good impact. Like, genuinely, before that shootout, I was ready to give him a 7. Because whilst, again, he didn't really do much in terms of end product and output, he was running at Mendes. He was our only attacking threat out wide the whole game when he came on. He did well. But I'm sorry, mate, I'm giving you a 4. Because and look, you can say that I'm salty. You can say that I'm, like, harsh. You can say whatever you want. But I'm sorry. Every other attacking player on the pitch has taken a penalty, whether they've scored it or whether they've missed it. And you let a centre-back take the 5th penalty to keep us in the final. When I watched you 2 years ago at Chelsea wrestle the ball off Cole Palmer, begging to take it, where the fuck were you in this game? Why weren't you looking to take the pen now? Huh? Where were you? £50 million winger has scored 2 Premier League goals this season and refuses to take a penalty in a Champions League final. Look, maybe that's not what happened. Maybe he didn't, he probably didn't refuse. But the fact that he let Gabriel get that ball, he didn't go up to him and he said, mate, I've got this. Honestly, you're a clown. And I genuinely don't know, out of the last few years when this team's actually been good, I genuinely don't know if I've hated a player more than I hate this guy. Like, I genuinely despise him. And maybe that is why I've given him such a low rating, despite the fact he actually had good impact off the bench. But honestly, Noni Madueke, I hate you. Like, I genuinely can't stand you. Fuck off. Honestly, I wouldn't be upset if he was sold. And then I forgot to add Arteta. Arteta's a rough one because I don't think he got the subs right. I think the Mosquera sub was good. He waited way too long to bring on Eze. I don't like the fact that Gyökeres and Havertz were on the pitch at the same time. I think he could have waited to bring on Gyökeres until later. And I don't like the whole 4-4-2 formation that we went after Gyökeres came on. And then, I mean, the Madueke and Martinelli subs, we needed a change on the flanks. So, like, it's just a lack of quality in this team. But overall, on another day, I'm praising this guy because he managed to win a Champions League final against the best team in the world. Because as much as I don't like the football we play, as much as I don't like the back-footed defensive football we play, this was a game where I wanted us to do it. This was a game where I was happy for us to do that, as long as we kept them out. And outside of that one mistake from Mosquera, we did. It worked. Like people were gonna say, "Oh, you parked the bus in a Champions League final. You went 115 minutes without a shot on target." Bro, it literally worked. Like, we took it all the way to pens. The penalty shooter had nothing to do with him. That is just all on the players. And by the way, I think it's so and I'm not complaining about this. I don't think it's why we lost. I'm just saying it's so unlucky to lose both coin tosses. Like, they're so much bigger than you think. Having your fans playing at the end where your fans are, plus getting to go first is so much better than going second. I just thought I might add that while we're talking about the shootout. So yeah, obviously I feel for Eze that he missed his pen. I feel for Gabriel that he missed his pen. They're both Premier League champions, so hold that. But yeah, I do quickly want to talk. Oh shit. Well, that didn't fucking happen. What the fuck is this? I think I was testing it out. That was ages ago. If I maybe want to do a watch along in the future, I was testing it out. I'll talk about PSG first. Winning back-to-back Champions Leagues is an incredible achievement. There are very few teams that have managed to achieve that feat. And I could definitely see them going and winning it again next season. I could see them doing the three-peat, which is absolutely insane because retaining a Champions League is so unbelievably hard. That's why so little teams have done it. I mean, who was the last team to retain a Champions League? I did it again. Other than that Madrid side. Like, who was the last team to do it outside of Madrid? Obviously, they won that three-peat. But who was the last team to do it before the three-peat? To retain it. So many teams have come close. It was AC Milan in 1990. It's been 36 years since a team not named Real Madrid retained the Champions League. Like, that is an incredible achievement. Incredible. And you've got to give this PSG team their flowers because, look, I don't think they're quite as good as people say. Like, I hear some ridiculous conversations with certain players, and I'm not really going to get into that now. You know, that's another debate for another day. But yeah, credit to them, man, because, look, they weren't the most deserving winners we've ever seen. I do definitely think over the course of the 120 minutes of football, they probably were the better side. But considering that they won 5-0 last time, I think you can take a game where you're not as good. And one thing they've proven to me this season, they can win in a number of ways. You know, I still, last season and earlier this season, I saw their defensive fragilities. But then that second leg against Bayern Munich and even in this final today, I mean, their defense has stepped up. You know, Pacho is a world-class centre-back. I'm not the biggest fan of Marquinhos. I don't think he's quite as good as everyone says he is. But he's an excellent player. You know, he's still an excellent player. He's a 2-time Champions League winning captain. And yeah, big up to this PSG side and big up to Luis Enrique. His 3rd Champions League. Only Carlo Ancelotti has won the Champions League more times than Luis Enrique. What a manager. Genuinely, what a manager. And he could win his 4th Champions League next season. I could see it happening. But Arsenal. Let's talk about Arsenal because, look, as I said before, I'm absolutely gutted. You know, I wasn't alive for 06, but surely this was worse. The only thing, what I will say though, the only thing is that from what I've heard from Arsenal fans and from what I've seen, the '06 team, that was more heartbreaking because it was the end of a cycle. You know, that was that year. I watched a video by Oko TV. I follow him on TikTok as well. You should check him out. Oko TV on YouTube. I can't remember his name. I follow him on TikTok though. He was talking about the '06 season, and we were like mid-table for a lot of the season. Ended up scraping top four. That Champions League run was like our last chance at winning major silverware, and it ended up being the case. You know, Henry left. Henry went on to leave. We moved to the Emirates. It took us another 8 years to win a trophy before we beat Hull into the 2014 FA Cup final. So that was what made it even more heartbreaking. You knew that an era was over. Whereas with this team, it's the I feel like it's the beginning. I know we've been at this, contending for Premier League titles. We've been viewed as one of the best teams in the world for a while. But I think it's the beginning. I genuinely think it's the beginning. Like, it's a rite of passage for every great team to experience heartbreak in a Champions League final. And I know we already have, but that was 20 years ago. This crop of players haven't. And I look at the treble-winning City team, 2 years after they fell short to Chelsea. I look at that Liverpool team under Klopp, won the Champions League and then won the Premier League with 99 points. They had to lose to Madrid. Where was that final? Wasn't in Moscow. Where was that final? Gonna make me check now. I've completely forgotten where that final was. I'm so good at remembering where Champions League finals are. Where was that final? If it'll fucking load, that would be great. Anyway, Liverpool were like they needed to lose before they could win a year later. Even this PSG side, I know that the team's changed a lot since 2020. But as a club, like, they had to go through heartbreak before they could do it. Look, you can call it copium. But I think this season has just proved to me that we are going to lift that European Cup. These players are going to lift that European Cup. Whether it's next season, whether it's the year after, I don't know. I remember hearing Rory Jennings talk about it last season. Like, you have to go... It's a rite of passage to experience heartbreak. And we've already seen it in the Prem. 3 consecutive second-place finishes before we finally got over the line. I just have confidence that this team can go again. I do. They've proven it to me countless times. Every time I think they're going to fall away and it might be the end of the process, they go again. And they got over the line. They won that league title. If we didn't win the league, we'd be having a very different conversation because it would be another season where we haven't won anything. But we got over the line. This team knows what it's like to win. And they could have been winners today. They were so close to winning that game. But yeah, man. Honestly, I'm so proud of this team. I'll do a full season review next week. Or maybe later in the week. I don't know. I'll go into it. We've got, summer content coming up. The World Cup is around the corner. There's still so much football to be played. But I'm just so proud of these players for what has been the greatest season I've ever seen as an Arsenal fan. The greatest... I've never seen us win the league. And we did it, getting to 2 cup finals. One of them being a Champions League final where we took the best team in the world to penalties. So yeah, man. This page, still isn't loading. What is going on? What? I just want to know where the fucking game is. Oh, it's Kiev. Kiev, that's right. But yeah, man. I'm so proud of this team. I'm so proud of these players. We go again next season because I'm telling you guys, we're going to hear Champions of Europe. You'll never sing that. We're going to hear it. But I'm telling you, boys and girls, our time will come. I will see you next season. Come on, you Gunners.